Yo, what's going on, y'all? I just wanted to shoot this video real quick because we know the topic of discussion right now, amongst a lot of things, middle of a pandemic, war, food shortages, all of that. Matthew 24 playing out. But it was some statements made about that Kanye made about the Jews, right? And let's make this. Let me put a disclaimer out there. First of all, I'm uh, this ain't no hate speech or nothing. This is just pure facts. And the Bible proves all things at the end of the day, right? So let's go back to the beginning real quick. Let's run the Genesis before I even get into the Kanye situation, right? Noah had three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Now, if you go to Japheth, you find this in Genesis chapter 10, and you drop down to verse 3, right? I'm going to read that for you. It says, the descendants of Gomar were Ashkenaz, Rapheth, and Togarmah. Okay, Ashkenaz. If you ask any of the so-called Jews today where they come from, they'll tell you they're Ashkenazi Jew or they're Jewish. So when you put an ish on something, that means it's like something but not quite, right? So Ashkenaz. So you go to Genesis chapter 10 verse 3. It's right there, right? Now let's fast forward to Shem, all right? So Shem produced the line of Abraham. If you turn to Genesis chapter 11, 10 through 31, okay, that breaks down the whole tree, right? So we know Abraham was the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. David, Solomon, Moses, all of them, Jesus or Yeshua, all of them came through the line, came through Abraham or the line of Shem. You can go look it all up on your own, right? So basically, what Kanye came out and said was, we're the Jews, right? Not Jewish, but by blood, right? So when you go back and trace our lineage, this is the reason why they don't tell us what we were doing before slavery, right? All we have is, oh, we came over here on slave ships, yada, yada, yada. They tell us we were Hamites, right? And they tell us that, that's where we come from. But when you go and break it all down and read it for yourself, you can see otherwise. So I'm going to leave that up for you. Don't listen to me. Do your own research. I always tell people that. So fast forward now, knowing that we come from the line of Shem, what Kanye was saying was the Ashkenazi Jews, they run the majority of the entertainment. They from music to the movies that are put out to the sports and everything. They are some of the most richest people on the planet, right? They are at the top. But if you look at us, we're at the bottom. Okay, that was prophesied that we will be put at the bottom if we didn't follow the Most High's commands. So go when you get a chance and go read Deuteronomy 28 and read what the gifts and the curses would be. If we kept the laws, statutes, and commandments, we would be blessed. The blessings. If we didn't, then we would receive the curses. Okay? So the Most High says, you will know my people by the curses that are put upon them. Right? So when you go break down the second part of Deuteronomy 28, it tells you specifically the identification marks, how you can recognize who his people are. And all of that fits us to the T. Okay? Deuteronomy 28:68 talks about us being brought over here on ships. And then you go read other scriptures talking about us being scattered to the four corners. Well, how do you scatter people to the four corners? Through a transatlantic slave trade, where we were scattered all throughout the uh, North America, South America, Central America, throughout Europe, China, all over. You'll see black people or Negroes or Israelites. All right. And now, see what they'll do too is they'll lump us everybody in with the camps. And you know what? If you listen to some of these camps, they have a lot of true information. But what they do is they'll take certain things and they'll spin it and say, "Oh, it's hate speech," which some of them can get carried away in their delivery. They can use some more tact or whatever. But from afar, they're speaking a lot of truth. Okay, so if you go again and do your own research and not just rely on somebody to just tell you what it is, because anybody can tell you something. You go to these churches or whatever, they'll sit there and your pastor is not going to tell you this information because your pastor don't want to lose members. Okay, so he's not going to give you the nuts and bolts. What he's going to do, he's going to pick a scripture and then he's going to give a sermon. Okay, and a lot of it, sometimes it sounds great. It's motivational. I call them, they're motivational speakers. Okay, and a lot of the stuff that they say, it can be applied to your everyday life. You know, you can learn certain things, but when you're trying to get to the nuts and bolts, they're not really going to touch on that because it's not what the masses are going to touch on, because again, they don't want to lose members, and it's just a touchy situation. All right, plus the majority of them have signed 501c3s, which means that they're affiliated with the government. Okay, so with all of that being said, let's bring it back to what Kanye said. Okay, so Kanye came out and he said that these Jewish people, they run the entertainment industry. So when you go back and you look at what's being portrayed or how we're being portrayed, right? They have us. Uh, First of all, you see an uptick in the alphabet community, right? Who's behind that? The Jewish leaders, right? You turn on the TV, you see all, you know, degrading things on TV, the radio, nothing positive, especially for the black community. It's killing, violence, pretty much everything that Kanye said. That's what we see. Nothing uplifting, okay? Nothing positive, nothing showing us to come together and build. Let's put our money together, okay? Let's make our own clothing lines. Let's make our own. Let's start doing our own technology, okay? Let's start doing things together. No, they divide us, okay? They separate us. They got us out here shooting each other in the streets. On top of that, they're killing us in the streets, right? But then they got y'all out here voting, talking about some, yeah, we need to vote on the next person because the next person is going to bring change. And how long has that been going on? Still relying on the system, a system that was designed to keep you oppressed, right? Ain't nothing changed. Come out of slavery, then you have Jim Crow and all of this, and then boom, every time we start building up, let's go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had our own little thing going on. We had our own community, thriving, wealthy. They come through and drop bombs on us. So every time we as a people start to come together and start to develop something and build something, they come and destroy it. Okay, and Tulsa, Oklahoma is just one. It's countless of other stories all throughout the country where we were thriving in different places and they came and destroyed it, or it had some kind of huge massacre to stunt the growth, right? So then, fast forward, you have 60s and 70s, they start introducing the welfare, right? They want to get the man out of the house, okay? So now you start offering all of this government assistance for the women, okay? But the only way they can have this government assistance is if the man is out of the house. No man can be in the house, or else you can't get your welfare check or your food stamps or whatever it might be. So now you're pushing the man out, Okay, and now you do that over a time period of generations. Okay, that weakens the family because you don't have a stable family. Okay, now all the pressure has been put on the woman. Okay, so then you fast forward to the 70s and the 80s. You had a crack epidemic, right? They flooded our streets with crack, drugs, okay, all kind of different drugs or whatever, weapons, violence, right? Then you turn around and you come out with a 94 crime bill, which is designed to lock up black men. So slavery never ended. It stayed up here, but okay, now you had a prison system. Then you come out with this hardcore music. So you got NWO and all of them talking about drugs, pushing weight, and all of this, right? And now you that's leading you to either death or jail, right? So now if you're a man and you got your children out here, you done had with your lady or whatever, now you locked up for 20, 30, 40 years of life because you done get caught busted on in a drug deal or whatever. You done killed somebody over some business or whatever it may be. Now you got generations of children again growing up without a father, right? So now you have these children that get to 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, and what are they doing? They grew up without a father, so now they don't have any stability in their lives. So now they're doing the same things. That's how you generate a generation of effeminate men and masculine women. So now you have the women trying to compensate for being no man in the house, right? So you have all of these, uh, this chaos in the house. There's no stability from the man. The woman, a woman, nobody should be trying to. The Most High made it to where a man and woman is in the house for a reason. There's certain qualities that a woman has that cater to the children, and then there's certain qualities that a man has that adds more stability and adds that toughness element or a little bit more of a structure. So when you put the two together, now you have a functioning household, right? So now that's destroyed. But you go and you look at other cultures, right? They still, for the most part, their system is still intact, right? And not only that, you have other benefits that they've been given. We don't get the same benefits that these other people have. That's why do you think you have? And this is no shot at nobody. It's just reality. In the black neighborhoods, you got liquor stores, corner stores, whatever, and you got a food line, Kroger's, or this, that, and the third. But you go to the rich area, they got Kroger's, Whole Foods, and all of the health food stores, all of the things that are gonna put you in a more of a positive state that's gonna benefit you. You come back to the black community, we suffering from diabetes and all this other stuff because we can't afford to eat properly, right? Then you go and read these labels in the stores. They give us the great value, which is cheaper, but when you go and read the ingredients, it's full of junk and trash. Okay, the other brands, less trash, even though it's still trash in there too, but it's not nearly as much. But guess what? The first thing most people gonna do is grab what? The cheaper item without even looking at any of the labels. Okay? So you have all of these disadvantages that got us in the ghettos. Why is it that in every city you go to, it's a Martin Luther King Boulevard, whatever, yada, 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 and it's in the hood, right? It's always our people in the hood, okay? So when you step back and you look at it, you're like, why are these people and don't get me wrong, there are black people that are thriving and successful and have a lot going for themselves, but I'm speaking about our people as a whole. When you look at our step back and look at our people as a whole and you see how our people are being treated, being misled, misguided, you gotta step back and sit back and be like, why is it us? Right? Why is it that Chinese people can come Chinese, Arabs, or whatever can come in our hoods and set up shop. Got your nail salon, yeah, your beauty supply stores owned by the Asians. Okay, Chinese restaurants, all these different businesses, they come in and we go to them, right? But you don't see too many black-owned businesses, period, that are thriving in these areas. Now it's starting to come up now, but I'm just saying, as a whole, it's not like that. We can't go into a white neighborhood and own a gas station like that, or own just different stores or whatever. They ain't gonna let you do it. Why? It's part of the system, oppression, right? That goes back to the scripture. You read Deuteronomy 28, it talks about um, breaking his laws and everything. We will go from the head, which is the top, to the bottom, which is the tail. Okay? Name another person in this world who aren't the tail right now as a whole. Not speaking of individuals, not speaking of athletes or people who, but even when you look at these things, they're oppressed. They're a slave to money. They can't speak on certain topics or else they're going to be suspended, fined, or kicked out of the league. That goes for all sports once you make it to a certain level, right? So, speaking again to our people as a whole, what Kanye said was true. Anytime any of our people, what happened with Nick Cannon? He came out and said we was Israel too. What did they do to him? They took his show and then they made him apologize before they gave it back. So he had to apologize for speaking the truth. Anytime the truth is spoke, it's silence. Some of y'all done been on timeout in Facebook, Instagram, social media, whatever. Anytime you start speaking about certain stuff, they hit you with a community guideline. And it could be completely true, but they're still going to hit you with it because they don't want the truth getting out. All right? Now, this message is going to go over some of y'all's head. Some of y'all going to take it and be like, yo, that's true. And you're going to learn something from it, but then you're going to have some of them that some of y'all don't care. You know what? And this message ain't for you. It ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But it is. Especially if you're a so-called black person. Because we the ones who are suffering and dealing with it. Everybody's suffering through this pandemic. But who are the most targeted individuals? It's us. Okay, we the ones getting shot down in the streets again. And sitting here complaining and recording videos showing the same thing, and it's happening over and over and over, and nothing happens. Cops get a slap on the wrist, right? They go kill somebody unarmed, and they get put on suspension, paid leave for murdering somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's what we deal with as a people. Okay? So, take the time to do your own research, okay? And understand that all of this is not just happening for no reason. 2019, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, that lockdown, this pandemic, all of this ain't no coincidence. Okay, especially for you churchgoers or you believers, we've been talking about the last days of the end times or whatever. If you believe we're in the end times or whatever, then this shouldn't be a surprise to you. Okay? So then you fast forward, you go to Revelation. The Bible speaks of the synagogue of Satan, right? Who's in the synagogue of Satan? Well, let's turn to it real quick. It says, okay, 2, Revelation 2 and verse 9. It says, in your poverty, it says, I know about your suffering and your poverty, but you are rich. I know the blasphemy of those opposing you. They say they are Jews, but they are not, because they are the synagogue of Satan, right? Now let's fast forward to chapter 3, verse 9. Again, look, I will force those who belong to Satan's synagogue, those liars who say they are Jews, but are not, to come bow down at your feet. They will acknowledge that you are the ones that I love, right? The Ashkenaz Jewish people, they not poor. They run the world. So when Christ is supposed to return, he's supposed to be returned to for people that have been oppressed. And so what will happen is they will speak of the Holocaust, right? And the Holocaust was a terrible event. I'm not denying that. That was a horrible event. But what they don't speak of is what was going on in Africa, where 15 million Africans lost their lives. We never learned this in school. Never spoke about it. Something else for you to do some research on. How they were slaughtered, mangled, hands chopped off, all kind of things that were taking place then. But they speak of the Holocaust, but they don't address the other things that were going on. And again, I'm not speaking down on any of those people. I feel sorry for their losses, everything that took place. But we've been dealing, like Kanye said, we've been dealing with a Holocaust for over 400 years. We was brought here on ships against our will, okay, forced into slavery, okay, killed, uh, babies given to the gators for gator bait, all kind of stuff that we weren't taught in school, and they're not gonna touch on. Persecuted all throughout the world, right? But they don't touch on that. But then when you speak about it, oh, that wasn't my, oh, those was, that's old. We need to get past it, get over it. We need to get over it, but y'all still ain't gave us our 40 acres and a mule. We still don't get we still ain't got reparations. Y'all built this country off our back, and we still haven't benefited from it as a whole. Again, not speaking of certain ones that have been able to get out, make money, or whatever, and do their thing, but when we're speaking as our people from a whole, that's not the situation, right? Then again, you turn on the TV and you see how they portray us as ignorant people, ghetto, ratchet. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't show us as kings and queens. Then they'll give us something like Black Panther, right? Which was dope to see our people in that kind of role. But when you step back and you watch that movie from a whole and look at what they were portraying, it was a lot of ancestor worship and a lot of magic and things of that sort. And so when you really look at it as a whole, they're giving us a little bit to whet our appetite, but they're mixing in a lot of BS with it. Then they always kill off the black leaders, the male figures, and they replace them with effeminate men. So you now every time you turn on the TV, the news or whatever, you see a bunch of weak men on TV. Period. It's always weak. Not all the time, but over 75% from when I turn on the TV, from a black person that's supposed to be in a leadership position, it's always something weak or effeminate. Okay, so go back and look at it. They pushing this whole LGBT community, and I ain't against nobody. That's your preference, but you forcing it down our throats. All of this stuff is being forced down our throats. And if anybody says something about it, oh, you anti this or you anti that, no, it's the truth. Okay? The same way y'all can put whatever else you want to put on the TV is the same way we get to critique it and talk about it and talk about what we see. Okay? So again, do your own research, study, show yourself approved, okay, and don't just take what the news tells you or what somebody tells you because you can be misled. Don't even take what I just said and just run with it. Look this stuff up on your own, okay? Because at the end of the day, everybody got to carry their own cross. So take this message, and look it up for yourself. Understand that you so-called black, Negro, or whatever, you're a chosen from the Most High. You are an Israelite. And for you who say, "Oh, well, nah, it's still the Ashkenaz," okay, ask them what tribe they're from, because it's supposed to be 12 tribes. So you Jews or you Jewish person, what tribe are you from? Okay, I guarantee you they won't be able to tell you. Go there, we from Abraham. Yeah, you from Abraham. That's where the line of Shem. Abraham came from the line of Shem, but you call yourself Ashkenaz, which came from the line of Japheth. Come on, y'all. We can't. But see, that's how they get us. Is the majority of us, not saying everybody, but the majority of us don't read our Bibles like we should. Okay, and then all of this stuff that is in the Bible, when we go to church, they don't talk about it. Some churches do. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that's out here preaching this message and talking about what's going on. But let's just use common sense, right? The Bible says that Israel is the salt of the earth, right? It's not a coincidence that we're some of the most gifted as far as uh, let's go to sports for a second. Where overall, not saying everybody, overall we're the most talented as far as athleticism. Okay, it's the majority of us are in the NBA, NFL. Um, we don't really fool with hockey and stuff like that or golf. But look what Tiger did. He, you know what I'm saying? He came in, took over. You know, all of NFL, football, college. We dominate. Okay, we take over. Whatever we put our minds to, whether it's singing, dancing, whatever it is, we dominate. We got it. The Most High blessed us. He blessed everybody, right? But we have been blessed with it. Okay, we can step in the room and take over. We have that confidence, that swag that we have. Okay, it's a reason why they try to make money off of us. Go back and look up these record companies and these labels and different things. These entertainment industries that are run by the Ashkenaz, right? They making money off of us. They pimping us out. We're getting pimped out. They show us what they want us to be portrayed as. Okay, they making all of this money off us. Then they'll throw a couple 100,000 or whatever, a couple million at somebody who's never had money before. But then they don't teach them how to manage their money or whatever. They teach them how to go out here and go to the. And you got us. We're going blowing our money at the strip clubs or whatever. And now 2-3 years later, we ain't got nothing to show for, right? We're not given financial literacy. We're not taught how to start businesses. And if you go look at some of these contracts, some of these celebrities, they aren't even allowed to go back and build up the hood or support their people. They got us supporting everybody else but our own. That crab in the bucket mentality. And that's what we gotta break. That's what Kanye was speaking on. As far as we gotta start, and if anybody else, whether you black, white, Asian, whatever, if we don't care what color you are, but what I'm saying is y'all all work together, and this is what Kanye was saying. Y'all spend money with each other. Y'all put y'all money together and go buy gas stations and go buy grocery stores or whatever, and y'all help each other out. We're the ones as a whole. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have people, and a lot more of our people are starting to work together now. But as a whole, we have that crab in the bucket mentality. We hating on our brother, okay? Hating on our sister because she's shining, because she's successful. We gotta cut that out. Let's support our people. Let's celebrate our people being successful, because that's gonna help us out in return. if we and then too, watch who you kicking it with, watch who you hanging with. If that person ain't about nothing, why you with them? Find some new people. Find people that's on the same wavelength as you, because this ain't the time to be dealing with people that ain't for real with it. This ain't the time to be messing around with no fake people. Okay, so yeah, this is the time that we need to come together as a people, work together. Okay, understand that they're not gonna do it for us. Period. We have to start to think as a people and move as one accord and start working together. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on that real quick, and I definitely gonna be back with some more content. But it's just something to think about. Make sure you do your own research, and make sure that um, you ain't being misled, and make sure you ain't getting caught up in what the masses is speaking of. It's gonna be a lot of people that come out and say, "Oh, uh, Kanye is anti-Semitic or anti this," and they just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, see, that's why I don't fool with him." And like I told you, I wasn't really a big Kanye fan because of some of the stuff that he done said and some of the uh, antics that he has. But what I will do is acknowledge what he said and touch on it. Okay, and then what you do is you take stuff to the Most High in prayer, and then you read your Bible, and this stuff will start to click for you. Okay, read it for yourself. Don't just let somebody tell you what it is, and then you just run with it and be like, "All right, I'm good." All right. So I'll be back with y'all later. Peace.